Many homes have an area known as a sloped ceiling, when the upstairs ceiling runs at an angle width at the same pitch as the roof. Most likely there is a small cavity like a wall behind it. Throughout many architectural trends, sloping a ceiling allowed for more headroom in the second story without adding a full wall, all while maintaining a specific exterior design. Let's join our Comfort Ready Home field specialist in a conversation about a typical sloped ceiling and discuss the considerations and specifications on insulating it.
Here we are upstairs in a story-and-a-half home, also sometimes referred to as a Cape Cod style home. In our weatherization specifications and best practices, we also sometimes talk about this as a finished attic or a partially finished attic. And we're here today to talk about whether or not we can insulate this sloped ceiling, right? Sloped as in it's a slope from this wall to this top ceiling. There are a few parts we need to consider before we get deep into this. The first is, how long is this slope? So our specifications dictate that this slope cannot be more than 8 feet this way. It's kind of an interesting story. The reason why is, should any moisture somehow get in here, this space needs to have some drying capacity, even if it's dense packed with insulation. The next thing we want to do is we need to make sure that the drywall here is in good condition and it's structurally sound enough to support. In most cases, that's not a problem, but occasionally you will get either a lath and plaster or drywall ceiling that's got several cracks in it, maybe holes, or maybe it's made with less than ½ inch drywall. Sometimes 3/8 inch drywall or paneling was used. In those scenarios, that's not going to be strong enough to handle dense pack insulation. So what are some other things we do in these style houses that go very well with insulating a sloped ceiling? The first is going to be prescriptive or whole house air sealing. Now, please note that your local utility may require prescriptive air sealing as a component of any attic insulation project. So definitely check with your local utility on that. Second, there's a phenomenon I like to refer to as the cold foot in the bed. So imagine it's cold outside, you get all warm and cuddly and you snuggle into your bed and someone climbs in behind you and they put cold feet right on the back of your legs. Now imagine those cold feet never warm up. This can happen in our homes when a sloped ceiling, or most often in between floors, right? Because we're upstairs. If this in between floors is open to these ventilated side attics, then when it's cold outside, it's cold in that attic. If this in between floors is open to that attic, it becomes cold. Hence, it's like having a cold foot in the middle of your bed. As I mentioned when we were inside, one of the critical components we need to check before we consider dense packing a sloped ceiling is whether or not the side attics and the top attic are properly ventilated. We're talking about passive attic ventilation. What we have here is a nice gable vent. It's clean, it's got the proper mesh on it, it's louvered, all part of our weatherization specifications, and it looks really good. Now I'll need to do the math to make sure there's enough passive ventilation for the size of the side attic. But again, we want to double check the side attics and the top attic to make sure they're properly ventilated. Again, why? If we dense pack that slope, it needs to have some drying potential. Here we are in the side attic, and now we're going to take a look at the sloped ceiling. Again, that's that angled slope that we identified from inside. We already know that it's less than 8 feet in depth, so from that perspective, it qualifies, but we want to check to see if it's already insulated. So I look up here, and sure enough, this is already insulated. A different thing we look for in these scenarios is whether or not these areas are blocked off. If we can look over one bay, most of them are. This just happens to be that one that was not. So those are the two things that we really want to check for the slope from the side attic before we actually begin any work. So the cold foot in the bed, again, what we want to do is disconnect this in between floors from this vented side attic. When it's cold outside, because this side attic is vented, it will be cold. As long as it's wide open here, in between floors will also be cold. So in order to take that cold foot out of the bed, we need to block and seal around any openings from the side attic into in between floors or to a sloped ceiling, for instance.
Blocking, sealing, and insulating sloped ceilings are an important part to keeping the second floor of a home comfortable throughout the year. Refer to your Comfort Ready Home Field Guide for detailed information on specifications or reach out to your local field specialist.